I'd like to thank Graham Simpson for chairing the working group, and also Ben McPherson, MSP, beforehand. I generally think that this has been a useful exercise, and as others have commented on, I think the title of being a working group was so important in this aspect. I managed to only just get to one of the meetings, but a member of my staff went along on my behalf to others. In my constituency, Inverclyde, Inverclyde itself has got, in 2017, 48.8% of Inverclyde homes were considered to be flats. And obviously incorporating the tenements as well. And I've had many constituents come to me with housing issues, and I'll touch upon one in a moment. But for one minute, I do not think that every landlord, or even the majority of landlords, are bad individuals. The vast majority are good, and they do a wonderful job. But that small minority, unfortunately, does, and they do give the responsible owners a bad reputation. And I just think the recommendations from this working group, I think, are really important to certainly kind of help with the debate going forward. Certainly, one of the things that I generally believe that we need to improve upon as a society is to actually educate people, but not in a patronising way. People living in tenements generally have to appreciate that they have that joint responsibility for all the common areas in the building, something that Daniel Johnson touched upon in his comments, and whether or not they are actually directly affected by any problems or issues. And at the working group, obviously, there was much discussion regarding the issue of the sinking funds, which residents pay into, so there's already that pot of money available when a repair is needed. Now, whilst I accept, and I'm sure others will as well, that this will make monthly bills a bit higher, it could certainly guard against that big one-off bill to ensure that maintenance takes place before issues become emergency repairs and actually cost even more money. Now, the report by the working group obviously made the 3 recommendations on the sinking fund, also being one of them. And I'm pleased that the Minister, when he opened earlier on, he indicated that the Scottish Government are going to consider also the report and come back with a full and detailed statement later in the year. Certainly, for me, the first of the recommendations, the building inspections, I think is really important. I do think there are certainly some challenges there. Because one of the questions for me is also to have them to happen every 5 years, I think is right. But at the same time, do we actually have enough people trained in that area of expertise to go and deliver this check every 5 years? And I think that's certainly something that we do need to fully consider. The second recommendation being the introduction of the owners' associations for tenements, to me, generally is a very sensible recommendation, and I believe it actually could help foster better relationships between neighbours, something that Andy Whiteman touched upon a few moments ago as well. Certainly sometimes constituents with strained relationships with neighbours, or those who are dealing with a neighbour who simply will not engage in repair talks, often contact me, and owners' associations, imagine, would actually force absentee landlords to engage as well. I mentioned a few moments ago regarding the issue of the sinking funds, and I know certainly from my constituent who contacted me recently, they're now thinking about just leaving because of the trouble they've actually got with some of their neighbours in their particular block. And the sinking fund, although that would certainly help, but I think the actual owners' association would probably help in that situation as well. But generally, I am conscious of the time, Standing Officer, so I do want to say I generally welcome this report. I'm pleased to have played even kind of a small part of actually this report going forward. And I'm sure that the fact that there is cross-party support on this particular issue, I think indicates how important I think all the parties in the Parliament actually take this particular issue. Thank you very much.